AI writing the right way. AI tools like ChatGPT can be incredibly useful for students, but only if they are used correctly. Many students fall into the trap of relying on AI to do all the work for them, but that approach doesn't build strong writing skills. Instead, AI should be used as a tool for brainstorming, drafting, and refining ideas while keeping the original student's thoughts at the center. Today, we're going to talk about 6 different strategies for using AI in professional writing. Brainstorm, personalize, fancy writing, fact check, feedback, and cite AI. And this, of course, makes the very well-known acronym BPTFFFK that everyone knows about. Brainstorm. One great way to use AI is for brainstorming. Sometimes getting started is the hardest part of writing. Instead of asking AI to write the whole essay, ask it for ideas or prompts. By doing this, you engage with the writing process while letting AI help generate ideas. Using AI in this way keeps you in control of your own work and ensures that your writing reflects your own thinking. Let's check out an example.
Okay, so for this, we're going to use the in-house custom GPT that I built for English 101. You can find it from the homepage. You can also find it here under class reference documents. So if you use this, you'll have to create a free account, but this is just for the example for the video. The idea with brainstorming is that we're going to use the model to help us generate ideas, right? It's going to give us jumping off points that we could then go and continue our work on. So let's say I want to ask for a research paper, and I'll show you some of the brainstorming ideas we can do here. So if I say something generic, just like research paper topics, you'll notice that it's going to give me a generic set of possible topics that I might use, right? So what we can do in this case is we can whittle it down to something that we might be interested in. Let's say video games. And so you can see just by giving it one subtopic here, we start to get a lot more potential topics that might be within the realm of something I might be interested or want to write about. Let's take this very first one that it gives us and let's brainstorm a little more. So if I say, do video games improve cognitive skills like problem solving? I'm going to ask it for more ideas around that, right? And so here it's starting to give me lots of different options within the heading of using video games to talk about cognitive skills, right? So there's different types of games that might have different benefits. Here's some basic research and major studies and ideas we can sort of jump off with. These are all potential ideas for a thesis or even for body paragraphs that we could develop our own idea with.
Personalize. Another key strategy is revising and personalizing AI-generated text. AI can provide a rough draft, but that draft needs to be rewritten to sound natural and personal. This small change keeps the idea, but makes it more specific and original. The goal is to use AI as a starting point, not as the final version of your work. Let's see an example.
Okay, in this case, I've asked it to write me a love letter for my wife. And you'll notice that because I haven't given it any other specific information, the love letter that it's going to write is a very generic, wide-ranging sort of thing, right? So if I go to personalize this, I might add more specific elements. I might give it more information, in this case, about my wife or whatever my goal is. The more context I can give the model as I work with it, the better it's going to be able to serve me. So even if I just add a few more details, right? My wife loves Vampire Diaries, the show, and caramel topping. So you'll notice it'll start to bring up things that you can mention, right? If you became my Elena and my Catherine, right? And this isn't, a perfect love letter by any means, but if I came here and gave it a bunch of information about my wife, about me, about a relationship, about our past, about our whatever, right? It could start getting a much more different, better version of what I'm trying to do.
Avoiding fancy writing. One big issue with AI writing is overly formal or overly vague language. AI often tries to sound academic by using complex words or long winded sentences, but the problem is that this can make writing harder to understand. Being clear and direct is always better than trying to sound impressive. The general rule of thumb here is that if the chatbot uses a word or a phrasing that you yourself don't use or wouldn't use, that's a big cue to go in and change it to something that you might say yourself. Let's see an example of that.
Okay, so if I just ask for an email to my boss, you might notice that it can be much too formal, and it's not something that I myself would ever really write, right? And that's sort of the key that you can edit using a generative AI model for writing, is that if there's anything said in there that you yourself wouldn't say, if there's a word choice that you yourself wouldn't use, go in and revise that to be something that you would actually communicate from yourself.
Fact checking. Fact checking is another crucial step when using AI. AI tools are not perfect and sometimes make mistakes or even invent facts. If your essay requires factual accuracy, always cross check the information with reliable sources. Trusting your AI blindly can lead to errors that weaken your argument and credibility. Feedback. AI is also useful for feedback rather than just corrections. Instead of asking AI to simply fix your sentences, ask why a particular sentence needs improvement or how to improve it. This approach helps you understand what makes writing stronger rather than just relying on AI to do the work. Learning the reason behind each change can improve your writing over time. Let's see an example.
Using generative AI to get feedback on improving your writing is also another great way to use models like this. So I have a sample piece of writing here that is pretty poorly done, right? If you read over this, you'll notice that it's lacking a lot of good writing strengths. So if I then put this in here and then I ask it, what are the problems in this writing and how can I improve it? Let's see what it says. So here we go. Lack of a clear thesis, issue, improvement suggestion. Even gives a little quote we can sort of consider. Sentence fragments, awkward phrasing. Right. So this can really help if you're struggling with the quality of your writing. A function like this, where you ask it to help you understand how and why to improve, can be very, very helpful.
Citing AI. If you use AI in your writing process, it's important to cite it properly. Different citation styles, like MLA and APA, have guidelines for citing AI generated content. Being transparent about AI is important, especially if your professor or your boss requires it. Misrepresenting AI generated content as entirely your own work could lead to an academic integrity issue, and it's going to hurt your writing process going forward.
So if I simply just ask, how do I cite ChatGPT in MLA format, you'll see that it gives me a lot of good direction, and it even gives me some specific um, citations that I can use in my own writing. So if you're doing a research paper, if you're doing a more formal paper, and you need and you're using ChatGPT or another chatbot, this is one way that you can cite the information that you get from that chatbot instead of just blindly putting it out there as your own stuff, right? The more that you cover, your butt, so to speak, with any information that you've gotten from an outside source or any opinions that you've gotten from an outside source. Just give credit where credit is due as a writer, as a college writer, as a professional writer. And as long as you do that, everything will be fine in terms of being accused of cheating and all that, which shouldn't happen in this case. It certainly won't happen in my class.
It's important to use these AI tools as a way to bolster your own writing, your own thoughts, and your own way of doing things. The more that you may practice with some of these tools, ideally, the better you will get at not letting them do the work for you, but helping them get you to where you want to go with your own thoughts and ideas. Thanks.